Hello everyone, I'm Dick Wolf for the Franklin County Buzz. Franklin County's volunteer fire department are up in arms over a county and a state proposal that a countywide fire marshal be put in place to help coordinate the activities of our fire departments. This all started back in 2011 when the Franklin County Commission added a couple of cents to the hotel-motel tax to pay for something they called incentive monies. A few months go by and nothing happens with the volunteer firefighters. They're still filing their reports quarterly as they're supposed to do, turning in their paperwork to Andrea Smith here at the Franklin County Annex, but they're not getting any of that incentive money. In October, Mayor Richard Stewart decides that it's time something was done. He calls a meeting of the Countywide Fire Committee to apologize for lax meetings and the lack of coordination. Things get better right away. In January of this year, he appoints Dave Van Buskirk chair of the Fire Committee. In April, the General Assembly makes it a law that independent districts file audited reports. And in May, County Technical Advisory Service agent Gary Hayes tells the committee that in the future, all counties will have countywide fire marshals. At that point, it became very clear that Mayor Stewart was not going to be interfering in the activities of the volunteer firefighters. He wanted the job done by the county commission. In October 23rd of this year, a meeting was finally held involving the Countywide Fire Committee and a bundle of Franklin County firefighters, and they weren't happy. Here's Estill Springs Fire Chief David Pendergraph.
I'm Chief David Pendergraph of the Estill Springs Fire Department, and I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Franklin County Fire Chief for tonight's meeting and any questions that you have. I think from the start with and get-go is that as the rural fire board, y'all yourself need to be educated. There's no question about it. I mean, we're not going to sit here and say that we know what y'all do, and y'all can't sit there and say y'all know what we do because you don't. I mean, there's no way about it, okay? Touch on what Chucky's been talking about down here is why do we want to create a position at $60,000 a year when you've already got somebody in a position that can take that slack up? If it means hiring him somebody else, then hire him somebody else. Cut that salary in half and do a part-time position and be able to do what you need to do.
Following that meeting, I met with David Van Buskirk. He doesn't want this topic discussed in the press. He's been burned a couple of times by the Herald Chronicle and some less than substantial reporting. He seems to think that they're spreading more problems than they are solutions. So he's not a fan of coming on camera. But he's pretty determined that he's going to put this thing through. He wants to meet with the firefighters one-on-one, department by department, and he feels that he can convince them that this is the right way to go. Hard to believe, but there's more. The Capitol Hill Fire Department is one of 15 in the county that meet regularly, and in this case, we were at their annual meeting this past few weeks ago, and they brought up the subject of the countywide fire marshal and what they should be doing about it. And here's a look at some of their concerns.
We're sort of hoping that money can come to us instead of go to another person, because we can use it.
It's supposed to come to us anyways, right?
Yeah. Well, we got some money that
Come up, nobody knew about.
Yeah, and that's
The
reason.
way I understood it, they were, back in, I think in 2011, they set up the incentive program, and from that point forward, but they didn't have any plan in place or approved plan that said this is the way it's to be distributed, so that money just sat and accumulated. That's the way I understand it. And so it's there now, and that was the money they were going to, initially were stating they were going to use to pay for this position. But as you said, it appears that there's not a need for this position. And what I would hope would be this money could be used to fund the needs of our entire county fire department system, whether it be in training or whether it to be, for instance, the ones that run first responders to get AEDs to go in their trucks, or if it would be whatever could benefit the entire county, the entire population, because it would be improving the fire departments. And so I would encourage everybody to talk to their county commissioners talk to them about their position, because the county commission ultimately will be the one voting on this.
What the firefighters won't say in public is that they're not very happy with Eric Trussell at the Emergency Management Group. They're not very happy, with Kathy Blazer at Consolidated Communications. They see flaws in how both of those departments are run, and both of those departments are critical to having an effective firefighting force ready to protect Franklin County homes. This story is far from over. The County Commission and the Countywide Fire Commission are going to be dealing with this day in and day out as the days go on. We'll keep an eye on it for you, and hopefully we'll report here every time we get some new information. For the Franklin County Buzz, I'm Dick Wolf reporting.